Hi, everyone. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Sports. It is hate week because we cannot say
hate Clemson.
Rivalry week.
Yeah.
It's too tough to say over and over.
I was practicing trying to
Don't even practice. We
it.
ain't going to say it.
Enunciate it to, so yeah, hate week.
We're filming this on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. We actually did film an episode this past Monday.
Steven.
Zeb has been moving, and I'm not camera sound enough. That's why they put us on the camera and not behind it.
I'm here for the looks.
We clicked all the buttons he told us to click. Half of it recorded. My camera hit me the whole time. So if we want to put out the whole episode, you can look straight at me the whole time.
It'll last about 5 minutes.
So, but we'll quickly recap what we talked about on that episode, which was
two big wins.
Yeah, 2 big wins. South Carolina beats Kentucky 17-14. And just as a key point, the defense won that game.
Yep, they did. I saw a stat. I didn't bring it up in the Lost episode because it hadn't come out yet. Let me find it.
Is that going to be like the Snyder Cut, the Lost episode?
Exactly. If y'all complain enough, we'll bring it out. I thought I had it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So in the first 8 games of the season for South Carolina's defense, we had 7 turnovers. In the last 3 games, so that's Jacksonville State, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, we've got 9.
Yeah, and I mentioned it Monday that was the big thing last year that kind of made the defense not look as bad as that. We had a lot of turnovers last year.
Well, and it helps any team. Like, if you can't create turnovers, your defense is going to suffer.
Right, exactly.
And it was very clear and evident.
If you can't create turnovers, you have got to be a lockdown defense. Yeah. You got to have corners and safeties that aren't giving up the big plays. You got to have linebackers that fit the gaps and don't give up big-time runs. And you got to have a defensive line that constantly causes pressure. But if you have all those things, normally you get turnovers.
Yeah.
So it kind of is.
It's kind of
plays
going
on
hand in hand because you can see from the past 3 games, we've actually generated pressure.
Yeah, and we've dialed it up on like some corner blitzes, sending some linebackers. They've changed up, not just trying to do it with the front 4 and get the pressure that way. But yeah, if you can get the pressure on them, you can force turnovers, and that's what we've seen the last few weeks. Hopefully, it transitions into this final game. Yeah, because we're going to need the turnovers.
Had a big entertainment. Had Darude.
Yep,
at the game. That was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I think I've watched Gamecock Central put out a tweet of like, I think it was the first time that he DJ'd it live. Right. I think I've watched that video probably 100 times because it's awesome.
Spencer Rattler had a good game, 19-27, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like I said, the defense was the star of this game. The offense was just kind of figuring it out. Yeah. Again, we were down to a freshman not down to a freshman, but basically our second string running back.
Yep.
So it wasn't like you had a ton of experience at the running back position. Hopefully you get some more back this week. Hopefully DeCarrion can go. But obviously the running game was pretty much obsolete.
Yeah.
I think we had maybe 50 legitimate yards, but 70 or so yards without the sacks.
Taking away Xavier Leggett's rush, the sacks, you brought that up. That still just baffles me how those yardage
college football is the only one that does it.
Are a part of your rushing game.
College football is the only one that takes away rushing yardage on a sack.
Yeah, but I felt good going into the game against Kentucky just from the sheer fact is if you can stop their run or manage and maintain their run, you're going to be pretty successful against Kentucky because the one thing that stuck out to me under the Stoops era in Kentucky is their best years is solely dependent on having a singular playmaker, and it's usually at the running back position.
Yep.
Whether it's Benny Snell, Ray Davis this year, which he's kind of fallen off a little bit. But if Kentucky doesn't have that one guy that is their playmaker, they usually struggle, and it's usually with the passing game, and it showed.
Yeah. They rushed the ball 27 times, 122 yards, so that was pretty...
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's
very good.
Especially from a team that has struggled stopping the run throughout the year. Again, the last few weeks, I'm not sure if Clayton White is the sole play caller anymore.
Yeah.
We kind of went through that last year when the offense looked a ton better the last quarter of the season. Was it Satterfield calling the play? Was it a group effort? I think it was a group effort then. I think it's a group effort now.
Yeah, and I think calling defense, and I think we've talked about this in previous episodes, I think calling defense is very different than calling offense, because in offense, you're just trying to find ways to get your playmakers to ball. Defense is a little different, where it's like, okay, what scheme or man package can we run to put especially our secondary in the best positions? I mean, we had some scary moments.
For sure.
They just kept throwing it deep, and that's been the thing that killed us. It killed us against Mississippi State. But yeah, I mean, we've given Clayton White so much shit and just nitpicked at everything he's done. Yep. You have to give that defensive staff credit.
Yeah, 100%. They won. They won that game. The defense won it, and then Braswell's block on the touchdown pass to Xavier to get. Those were the two key things that won that game.
Yeah.
And look, the offense has done so much this year to even have us in this position to potentially make a bowl game and win out in November. So, for the defense to step up, that's big, because it shows that they can do it.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
Hopefully they do it this week. Clemson took on North Carolina. This was one I thought North Carolina would win, but Clemson has looked a lot better here the last few weeks.
They have.
They get the victory 31-20. North Carolina jumped out early, got the touchdown, and then I think they had a crucial turnover that kind of turned the tides of that game.
I think that was the turn. To me, that was the turning point in the game. I mean, he was going to score. Right. And credit to Clemson's DB. I'm pretty sure it was Wiggins, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think his first name is Nate. Sorry, I don't know their players like I do ours. But I really think that was the game changing moment, because Clemson scored off that turnover.
Yeah, I think a good game for Cade. They just kind of let him do what he needs to do, they're not solely on him. Yeah. Will Shipley, big game for him.
Which he didn't have a good first half, because I saw some tweets where they wanted to see less of Will Shipley.
I think that's been a lot of talk here for the last few weeks, especially after Shipley. Fumble. Yeah, after Shipley went down and then had that neck injury, and Maffa came in, had his big game, and it's kind of been consistent. But Shipley, 18 carries, 126 yards. Phil Maffa still did get the majority of the carries, 23 of them for 84 yards. But again, Will Shipley puts the ball on the ground, lost fumble.
Crucial areas. It's not like it's, they're on their own 30-yard line. I mean, they're driving. They're in the red zone.
Yeah.
And he's still having those costly turnovers.
Yeah, which that kind of plays into South Carolina, is what they're doing now is, hopefully getting turnovers. If they can get pressure, force K to, make some bad passes, punch that ball out when Shipley has it. Hopefully that bodes well for South Carolina. But this is a huge win for Clemson. They're on a 3-game winning streak now.
They're ranked now.
Back in the rankings.
24th.
I knew that they would do it. If they just made any kind of run, the committee's going to placate to Clemson the same way that they placate to Alabama. They're going to get them in there into the top 25 any way that they can, which is fine by me, because South Carolina goes in and beats them.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we kind of took away their hopes and dreams of a college football playoff bid.
Mm-hmm.
This year, for them to get back into the top 25 for us, if we can beat them again, knock them right back out. That would be sweet. But let's jump into the South Carolina Clemson game. This is the big one. This is one that everybody waits for all year. It seems like that it has a lot more meaning this year, because both teams are pretty much in the same boat.
Yeah.
They're just looking for a bowl game at this point. Neither one's going to play for a conference championship. Neither one's going to play for college football playoffs.
Yeah.
Neither one's going to win 10 games.
To me, this is the first year where, and I don't try not to come off as like biased because we're Gamecock fans, but in terms of on paper, they're really just average teams.
Yes.
There's really nothing that like stands out and says Clemson is this much better than the Gamecocks.
And the both teams' strengths, it's going to be strength on strength.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson's strength is their defense. South Carolina's strength is their offense. Clemson's offense is their weakness. South Carolina's defense is their weakness. So it's really going to come down to which one of the strengths can outdo the other, and which one of the weaknesses can have a strong point. And really and truly, though, both of their weak points are looking better in the last few weeks. Clemson's offense is starting to click. South Carolina's defense is starting to click. So it's a 7-point game in favor of Clemson. But,
that was really last night, so it could change from when we've recorded.
Right. It's going to be a night game in South Carolina.
This is Clemson's first true road test of the season. I was looking at a stat. They're 1-3 on the road this year. They lost to NC State, lost to Miami, won against Syracuse. I forgot who their other road game was against. Duke.
Yeah.
So when you factor in the stadiums of those teams, I think they averaged around 45 to 46,000 in attendance. Miami's not a tough place to play. The big thing for me is South Carolina has got to get momentum going and get it early, so we don't lose the crowd, because that's a very big key, is our home field advantage.
For sure.
Williams-Brice at night, it's one of the toughest places to play in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be electric for sure. If we can come out early, score first, I think that's going to be huge. There's going to be, most likely, it's not 100% confirmed yet, but
he's coming.
Yeah, we don't like to get political.
Donald Trump
loves it, but Donald Trump is
coming
to be in attendance to spot Nikki Haley.
That's why he's coming,
right?
I mean, let's
Nikki. Yeah, he will.
It's not.
There'll be a lot of people that'll tune in, not for the whole game, but there'll be a lot of people that'll tune in for the start of the game just to see him, see his wave, see what kind of reaction he gets, and not just from Republican. And again, I'm gonna do 30 seconds of politics right now.
I don't think they're going to recognize him at all. They will show him on TV, but you will not see.
No. That's what I'm talking about. People will tune in.
Bring him up on the video.
30 seconds of political talking, then I'm stopping it. They will tune in just to see a fan reaction, and they'll do it from both parties, Republican and Democrat, to see how they react. You'll have Nikki Haley people that tune in to see how people react. You'll see Donald Trump people, and then you'll see all the other people are going to tune in, even if it's just for the first 15 minutes, because they'll do it the same way that they do Taylor Swift. They're going to mention it. They're going to get it out there because it does draw.
It's a storyline.
ESPN's not dumb.
It's a storyline.
Right. Exactly. It's the whole reason they're boosting it up right now is to get it on there. All right.
I mean, this is one of the...
Exactly.
I mean, it
has nothing to do. It's not going to affect South Carolina.
This is one of the most heated rivalries in the country. It may not be the biggest in terms of national scale level.
Oh no. Yeah.
But Dabo talked about this in his press conference the other day. He's like, even if you're not from South Carolina and you just moved to South Carolina, whether you moved to Charleston, Greenville, wherever, he's like, you eventually have to pick a side. There's no middle line. You're either a Gamecock, whether you don't pull for them, but he's like, you either want Clemson to win or you want South Carolina to win. And I think that
when I lived in Conway, you see that a lot more, especially like in the beach area in the bigger cities, because where I lived, you would have people when I lived in Conway, in my neighborhood, they weren't from here. They might pull for NC State or Alabama, whoever. But when that game came on, they had a preference on who they wanted to win. And that could have been because their kids started liking whoever, or they married into it, or they're just friends at work. You tune in to watch it because you got a side. So, it's a big-time rivalry.
People were happy with the way Beamer – they brought it up to both coaches in the press conferences. And – I saw a girl on Twitter that I guess works in PR, and however Beamer worded his response, she's like, PR people all around the world are smiling. She was like, that's the way you handle it. He was like, we don't care. Just if you're going to be here, be loud.
Right. And both coaches this year have caught a lot of flack from their press conferences. But they know how to hype it up. Because like I said, both teams, they need the momentum in this game.
Yeah. And another thing is Dabo and Shane Beamer are close friends.
Yeah.
I think on a professional level, Dabo respected Spurrier, but Spurrier knew how to get under Dabo's skin.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers the rant about the real USC Carolina and the school in South Carolina is Clemson. Not this year, buddy.
No, not this year at all.
Hopefully. Oh, and I'm calling out Landry Collins. Don't you back out on our bet, Landry. So our bet is whoever teams lose, we have to go to the spring game, and you have to wear the team's apparel, or it probably just going to be like a hat or something. So, but at the beginning of the year, Landry was sounding like he was backing out, but I'm calling him out on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching this.
Yeah.
It's on.
There you go. Well, I'm not making any bets.
It's not monetarily. I don't like paying on those.
It's also a big one. I mean, there's no real, NFL teams in the state of South Carolina either.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have the Carolina Panthers, who are just absolutely awful, trash. Just, oh God, to even call yourself a Carolina Panther fan, I don't even know how you could do it.
I don't know why you're looking at me. I'm not.
You gave up on him when Tepper demolished Rock Hill.
He's the worst owner in sports. There's literally nothing he's done right at that team.
Yeah, but also in the South, for the majority of people, they care a lot more about college football than they do professional sports.
I'll be honest, my level of fandom for professional teams is nowhere close to how I care about South Carolina. I love the Braves. Let's be honest, I don't get upset if they lose.
You still owe me $1,000 from the Braves too. Just to make mention of that.
We'll just have to
coming up Christmas time.
I have to double down on it. The horn. I mean, professional sports is. It's.
I love them, but I want the game. I love the Gamecocks just as much.
Your NBA team is in Boston. Your NFL team is in Texas. Your NHL team is in Tennessee. Like,
not great.
Jeez.
Hey, you spread it out because I ain't pulling for the Panthers.
Where's that bandwagon in here?
Listen, I've been fans of those teams for years. So.
All right. Only one I'll give you credit for is the Cowboys because it seems like you were born into that.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Keys to the game. It's got to be, like I said, which one of the weaknesses, for me, which one of the weaknesses? South Carolina's going to have to be able to stop the run. That's big because Clemson, obviously, that's what they want to do. Can South Carolina stop the run, scheme it up? I would do anything I could to force Cade to beat me. Mm-hmm. Make Cade Klubnik beat me. He showed at times that he can, but not consistently enough for me to fear him.
No.
So
it's kind of roles reversed where we need to make Cade beat us. Clemson needs to make our run game beat them.
Exactly. They need to keep us from passing. We need to make Clemson. It's literally a game of opposites.
Yeah.
Our offense is a strength. Again, there's their defense strength. Offense, defense, weakness, run game, pass game. It's literally a game of opposites, and whoever can stop the other one.
A big thing for me is who makes the first mistake.
Turnovers. Yeah, turnovers is going to be a big one.
Because
special teams, I think special teams played a huge role in the game last year.
Dabo needs to give up with these little cutesy fake punts because, I mean, one of the big changes last year was when they got the safety on us and we punted it, or however they allow them to do it, and they tried that little trickery. Didn't work. They've had two fake punts that have failed. But my big thing is we need to get the momentum early and keep the stadium engaged, keep the fans engaged, and for the love of God, the student section needs to stay in the game.
Especially if the game is extremely close in the fourth quarter, they need to be there.
Somebody put on Twitter where they need to allow more students in there.
No, less. Allow less. That's the problem. We keep giving them tickets, and there's kids that don't care that show up and they leave.
Yep.
I think for South Carolina's running game, you don't know what you're going to get out of DK, if he's even going to be able to play.
Yeah.
How healthy he'll be. I think you're going to have to use a lot of gadget runs, a lot of jet sweeps, get Nick Harbor the ball in space, Amarian Brown, let him get out on the edge.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come up with something besides just a handoff, but it's got to be something within the running game, even if it's a shovel pass, running an option, speed option, something. You got to go outside the box because you just don't have the line. I think you got the running back whenever he has time and space. Yeah. The bad thing for him is it's pretty much him. Braswell's, you don't really know what you got out of him yet, but again, it's a kid that just burned his red shirt last week, so it's not like he's got a ton of reps and experience. So you're going to have to do something, quick passes, screens.
And I hope Spencer, because Clemson's more likely going to get some sacks on us. I think Spencer needs to be smart and like realizing, like, okay, there's not a whole lot I can do. Just take the sack and not try to scramble back out and just lose even more yards.
He's been really good at that this year. A few times every now and then. Yeah. One time last week.
Outside the A&M game.
Yeah.
He's been pretty good.
He had one last week where he should have just got rid of the ball and took a sack. But, yeah, he's been pretty good about that this year. It's just staying composed.
Yeah.
Again, we got to have some semblance of a running game, whether it's jet sweeps or some kind of gadget runs.
We had some decent runs last week, but we just can't do it consistently.
Yeah.
And another thing is for Clemson is they need to not go away from their run. I mean, they did it last year, and
it killed them. It did.
It really did.
Going away from the run last year is what really lost them the game.
And we need to get pressure on Cade, make him uncomfortable, because this is going to be the toughest environment he's played in.
Yeah, it is.
He's been a starter.
I agree. Yeah,
and that dates to the Orange Bowl. All this year, he hasn't really played in a hostile environment. You could say NC State is, but
not in terms
South Carolina
of
Stadium
numbers.
Almost 30,000 more.
Yeah, not in terms of numbers. Not in a not game. Not in a rivalry game. He hasn't played in that. I mean, a few snaps. Last year, but you got to find a way to put it on him.
Yeah.
I think the last big key for me. It seems small, but Kai Kroger has to have last year's Kai Kroger.
Yeah.
We have got to have solid punts, because you're not going to score every drive.
Nope.
You're going to have to punt the ball. You can't be giving them great field position every time. You got to try and flip the field.
He did better against Kentucky.
The last few weeks he has looked better than the beginning of the year, but we need last year's Kai Kroger where he can flip the field, make them go the long way.
Because it makes a huge difference.
It really does. When the defense can go out and they're starting on, hour 15, and the offense has got to go 85 yards. It's daunting enough for the offense, but it kind of gives your defense momentum. Like, hey, if we can just make a quick stop here, our offense is going to get the ball back in good field position. So flipping the field, that's going to be a big like I said, you're not going to score every time.
Nope.
Especially so you're going to have to be able to flip it.
We need to avoid the dumb, unnecessary penalties. Kentucky last week, TJ Sanders had the hands to the face on third down. Guess what? Kentucky scored off that. So
got to be composed.
Get off the field on third downs. Don't allow big plays. Another thing is, I don't think Clemson's leading receiver is going to play. Dabo said he's day-to-day. Excuse me. Adam Randall. He's got plantar fasciitis. Yes. I know how that feels. It's not fun. But when I was doing some research last night, he was, because Dabo had his press conference on Tuesday, like Beamer does, said he was day-to-day right now.
Yeah.
So if he's down,
even at day-to-day, even if he does play, not 100%.
That could be a big deal, because that's, I don't know if Antonio Williams is going to play. I know he didn't play last week or didn't register a stat.
Yeah, that's
that's two big-time playmakers.
Yeah, that's why if you can force the game on the Cade's shoulders and make him throw the ball to inexperienced receivers or guys that haven't gotten a lot of catches this year, that plays in your favor. So haven't heard about Juice. I guess he's kind of done for the year.
He's not playing.
But just as a caveat, everything that we're seeing is that he's coming back next year, which will be huge.
I mean, I don't blame him, because this NIL era, it really changes. Unless you're like a guaranteed first round, maybe second round pick.
You got to be,
It's not that big a deal. If you're like a day 2, day 3 draft prediction, come back. That's
especially
selfish.
for him. It'd be one thing if he played this year, the whole year, and they were still projecting him to be a certain. If you played this whole year and you got that projection, you might as well go ahead and go, because obviously you could risk injury, anything could happen. But with him not putting up any real stats, I mean, he played in the Georgia game for one catch, I think.
He was in there for like a couple series. Right. I mean, he had the touchdown catch.
Yeah, so just not really putting up a lot of film and stats this year. And again, last year was really his coming out year.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really show anything this year. like you said, if you're going to be third, fourth, fifth rounder or more, you can make more money for one more season with NILs than to go to the NFL and then be just basically working practice squad or something like that. So, yeah, I think it's a smart decision for him to come back next year.
Yeah, selfishly speaking.
Yeah.
Selfishly speaking. I mean, we've got a lot of players that are walking on Saturday that still have eligibility left. Spencer Rattler still has eligibility left.
Yeah, he gone.
Mario Anderson still has a year of eligibility left. He's walking.
Mario's coming back.
Boogie Huntley's got another year, but he's walking.
He'd be smart to come back too. Spencer, of the guys that have eligibility that are walking, Spencer's only got it. I would say, yeah, go ahead and go. Because he's going to be a top 2 round pick.
I think he would be like a two to third round.
Yeah, he's going to be second round, I think. There's going to be a lot of guys that take a lot of chance on him. He's not going to, let's put it this way, there's nothing that he can do by coming back to improve his draft stock.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's gone.
Who you got winning?
I got South Carolina winning by a field goal.
Wow.
I think the atmosphere is going to play a big difference.
Yeah.
I think our offense can score. We've played tough defenses this year and scored.
Yeah, we have.
Listen, we played extremely well against Georgia. Okay? And you take that game plan in that we had in that first half.
At Georgia.
Yeah, and at Georgia. We've played a lot of tough teams this year. So it ain't like we're just coming in with and not playing anybody. Our offense has showed up against extremely good defenses this year. So it's nothing that Clemson's defense is going to show us that we hadn't seen all year. Even on our offensive line, they might not be great, but they ain't going to face nothing like they faced against Georgia. Even the Texas A&M's, Missouri, all of these teams you've already faced your toughest competition.
Wouldn't say toughest, but yeah, like you were saying, we're
Georgia,
not going to see anything in terms of talent level,
right?
Like we're going to see
exactly.
It's not like we're going in.
You know you can do it. It's not. It's not like there's just no chance.
It's not. Now we were saying this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, probably,
right?
But Clemson's not the Clemson they were
exactly
half a decade ago. But I've obviously got South Carolina winning. I'm gonna go by 10 points.
Damn.
10 points.
Damn. Put that Kevin Hart gif up. Damn. 10 points.
Yep, 10 points.
Whew. I don't know. I think it's going to be a last-second field goal, or it might even be Clemson missing a last-second field goal for us to win.
I mean, it could be.
It's going to be a close game for sure, I think. But, yeah, I think South Carolina wins. I think both teams are riding a lot of momentum.
Yeah, they are.
Both teams desperately need this win.
Both teams are kind of playing their best football right now.
Exactly. And even more so, both teams' weaknesses are playing their best football right now. So, I think there we go. Last 10 games, South Carolina is 6-4.
Bro, that's not accurate.
It's got to be flipped.
That's not accurate. It says current streak South Carolina 5.
Yeah, everything's flipped.
Yeah. No, it's not flipped.
Oh yeah. That's an old one.
That's from last year. We were 5 in a row, but that was like 8 years ago.
Yeah. But this is a big one for both teams. Obviously, because Clemson's hasn't been in this position in a while where they're going to get like a mid-tier bowl.
Yeah.
So obviously, this win would put them in.
They'd be 8-4.
Yeah, that one was an old one.
Yeah, that's old.
But South Carolina obviously can guarantee themselves to be bowl eligible. Obviously, there's still a chance, even if they lose.
Yeah,
a lot of things have got to go their way.
Yeah.
Don't count on other people. Go out and get it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said,
I'm sure a lot of recruits are going to be. There's going to be a lot of recruits watching this game. Kids that are deciding between, both in-state schools.
And I don't know if this is ever going to be a possibility. I know Clemson's athletic director came out yesterday and stated this game's not going anywhere. But you just never know with conference realignment nowadays. Like you look at Bedlam, Oklahoma State's not playing anymore.
Yeah,
unless they're playing.
A lot of that I think is by choice because obviously South Carolina is going to lose a non-conference game going into next year. You'll play an extra conference game. So a lot of the Oklahoma State was the same thing with them. They just chose not. They want to keep those
leaving conference. They're not going to be in the same conference anymore.
You have to outweigh how many of those Furman.
You still need like a tune-up game,
right? But you can't get rid of this one.
No, I would like, even though historically Clemson dominates us, I look forward to this week more than just about any other week of the year.
Yeah.
Because we have friends who are Clemson fans. There's some that I try to avoid this time of year because just like probably me, they're obnoxious Clemson fans.
Yeah. Like Landry, he keeps texting. I was like, dude, we really hurt you that bad last year? I ain't even worried about it.
One of the guys we were watching with last year, I thought was going to fight me, so I had to behave.
I don't watch with Clemson fans.
Landry's
not bad to watch it with.
He's the only Clemson fan I would watch it with.
Yeah, I don't watch with Clemson fans.
I'll tell this story. I will never watch one with Hunter Allen.
We tried to get him on the show too.
I don't think he's coming into town for Thanksgiving. But there was one time, I think I unfriended him on like every social media. And he texted me, this is before like you could unfollow on like Facebook. And he's like, why aren't we? I was like, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like,
pissed me off.
You're obnoxious. I was like, I can't stand seeing that. Especially like this time of year if they win. But yeah, this is it doesn't get the recognition nationally just because historically both teams aren't top tier
at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah,
you could.
It went like 5 years where South Carolina was
when we were winning. When we had the 10-win seasons, Clemson was right there with us. So like there was like a 4 or 5 year stretch where both teams were maybe not equally as good, but they were both ranked and ranked high.
Right.
So it got a lot more national recognition. But yeah, this is. I'm so pumped for Saturday. I'm glad it's a night 3. Game. I'm glad it's a night game because that allows us to watch some of the other rivalry games, like Ohio State, Michigan.
Speaking of those, let's jump into it a little bit. Michigan, Ohio State. This one's going to sort itself out for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jim Harbaugh accepted his suspension, so he won't be coaching in this game either.
The line's 3.5 right now. Michigan's -3.5.
Right. Both of these teams are in the same division, so the winner goes to
plays Iowa. Excuse me. Plays Iowa.
So basically, whoever loses this game, they're on the out. They have no, conference championship game to try and get back in.
Yeah. I agree.
This one is
it's at Michigan. I'm taking Ohio State just for the fact Michigan hasn't really looked that good. Their quarter JJ McCarthy's been struggling a lot this month. Having your head coach not be there is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal. And Michigan's been fortunate where the two teams they've played so far haven't, I think
he missed a Penn State game.
Yep. So,
but they ain't.
Yeah.
They can put them in the top 10 all they want, but Penn State ain't a top 10 team.
But this is, and I think Ryan Day's caught a lot of crap, flack, whatever you want to call it. I think Ohio State's going to come in there pissed off. I think they're going to beat Michigan this year.
Yeah, I saw something earlier. It was like, if Ohio State does lose to Michigan again, does that put Ryan Day on the hot seat? That'll be his 4th year in a row losing to Michigan.
Listen, if you're going to
and this is basically, when it comes down for these two teams, this game basically decides every year whether they make the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
Both teams basically cruise through the season.
Past 2 years for Michigan.
Right. And
so
then they
3 now.
And then they play this game, and then that's kind of who determines who's going to play in the championship game and then who's going to eventually make the playoffs because there's nobody on the other side.
It is a shame that Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan are in the same division in the Big Ten.
Exactly.
So dumb. But yeah, I think Ohio State's got it this year just for the fact Jim Harbaugh's not going to be on the sidelines. Michigan doesn't really truly have a passing game.
Right.
They might, but McCarthy just hasn't shown it. It's going to be tough, but I think Ohio State's winning this year.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ohio State as well. Another big one, Florida State falling out of the playoffs.
Top 4.
Right, and they're at number 5 now, taking on Florida. Florida State is the favorite, -6.5.
Playing at home.
But this is not a gimme. This is not a gimme for Florida
Now that
State.
Jordan Travis is out, and
I'm picking Florida.
It sucks what happened to him, man. That there's been a huge debate about the tackle that caused it, and I don't know enough about what all goes into tackling what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. You don't know what you're going to get out of Florida.
Right.
I mean, they almost beat Missouri.
They've looked great and then they've looked terrible.
Yeah.
I'm taking Florida.
Yeah, I'm going to take Florida.
Where's this one at?
It's in Florida State.
I'm taking Florida.
Yeah, I'm going to take Florida. If I'll put it this way, if Florida State wins Saturday and wins the AC championship, I don't think you can leave them out of the playoffs. We'll have a whole episode. We'll have a whole episode reacting to the top four and the when it comes to it, we can talk about it more.
If Ohio State wins out,
I just don't see a scenario where you leave an undefeated conference champion out.
Oh, you're saying if Florida State wins right now?
If they win out.
Oh, yeah.
If they win out.
I thought you said if they lose and then they win the ACC, you got to put them back in.
No. If they win out, I think you just have to put them in there.
Yeah. If they win out, because Ohio State, Michigan, one of those two are out.
Yeah, but you've got Texas, Oregon. If Alabama's
Georgia, in the playoffs, Kyle. We've already talked about this. They're beating Georgia and they're getting in the playoffs.
Yeah, if they went out and beat Georgia, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, but they're going to do that.
But Georgia's not.
I'm calling it right now.
But Georgia's not going to make the playoffs.
Right, because Alabama is.
Yeah.
It's going to be Alabama, Ohio State, Washington, and Oregon.
That's not going to happen.
It can't, because Washington and Oregon play each other.
Yeah.
I think Washington is going to win. I think Washington is going to make it. I think they're going to beat Oregon.
Oregon's going to win the rematch because it's a neutral site stadium. They only lost by 3 points. For some unknown reason, Dan Lanning loves going for two and gambling, and it cost him in that game against Washington. It's a neutral site field.
It's going to be Alabama, Florida State, Oregon, and Texas in the playoffs.
Good Lord. What's in that cup? What's in that cup over there?
Water. Ohio State's going to beat Michigan, and then they're going to lose to Iowa. Out. Georgia's going to lose to Alabama. Out. Washington's going to lose to Oregon. And then Michigan's already going to be out because they lost to Ohio State. So bang, 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 bang. We got a whole new four, baby. Everything that I just said is plausible.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I think that Alabama's going to get in. Ohio State's going to get in. I agree with you. I think Oregon is going to beat Washington.
Yeah.
And then I think Florida State, if they don't lose this weekend, will get in.
Oregon's got a tough match against Oregon State this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's Oregon's at home, but, dude, DJ Uiagalelei's kind of, I wouldn't say turn his career around out there, but, I mean, he's having a good season.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Oregon in that one, though.
And then
also Alabama at Auburn. Alabama all day. The line's 14.5. They'll win by 28.
Auburn's coming off a shocking upset against New Mexico State. Pay them almost $2 million to come.
Alabama will win by 28, if not more.
Yeah, and then
Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I think this will be the last game that Lane Kiffin coaches for Ole Miss because he's going to Texas A&M.
I don't think so.
He's the only one that fits.
Yeah, I think
there's nobody else in the country that fits.
I'm very curious as to who Texas A&M is going to hire, but I've got an Ole Miss winning as well.
Yeah, Ole Miss is going to win this one, and then Lane Kiffin's going to peace out and go start recruiting for Texas A&M.
Probably. I mean, he's reached what he's probably going to reach there in the NIL era.
Yeah, and he's exactly what Texas A&M wants. A flashy coach that can recruit.
Yep.
You're going to give him the money. He can dial up offenses. That's what they want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He fits the mold for what Texas A&M wants. The only other person I could think of would be somebody like Deion, and Deion's not leaving. He's not leaving everybody that he brought. He's not going to leave his son and all those guys.
Also not. I think we need to pump the brakes on.
I'm saying as what they see, what they envision as a head coach. He fits it.
Deion needs to spend like a half a decade at a big school because he's been very lucky with all this drama going on with Michigan. Colorado's not that good.
No, they're not.
It's going to take a couple years.
I think that Deion is still a great coach, though.
Yeah, I mean, he might.
You put him at a place like Texas A&M with all that money and recruiting and all that, he would thrive.
I mean, but they said that about Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, but he's old.
He's not that old.
Yeah, he's old. He's on his way out. He's, Lane Kiffin. He's the one.
He rode the.
You can't think of anybody else.
Jimbo rode the coattails of Jameis Winston at Florida State.
Yes. Who else?
I don't know.
There's nobody else. There's nobody in the NFL.
If you're just looking for a flashy hire, then yeah. But I mean, they did that with Jimbo.
I just don't. There's nobody. There isn't even a bland hire that I see.
Lincoln Riley.
No. No. But just to recap, it's rivalry week. Hate week. South Carolina is going to beat Clemson.
It's rival week.
Yeah. South Carolina by 3.
Still struggle saying that.
And Kyle's saying South Carolina by 10. You can just go ahead and rip him apart in the comments. That ain't happening.
You want to bet on it?
No, I'm not betting on it.
I wouldn't pay you anyways.
I know you already owe me $1,000. Yeah, I'll bet you 20.
No,
and then you'll just owe me $980. Do some math.
No, sorry, I had something in my eye.
All right, just to wrap it up, South Carolina versus Clemson in Williams-Brice, 7:30. It's on
SEC
ESPN
Network.
SEC Network.
Yep.
President Trump will be there if you're just tuning in for him. But if you are, stick around. I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be a 1 to 2 possession game.
Yeah, I agree. Easily. It's going to come down to one of the final drives.
Yeah.
And South Carolina wins by 3. So we'll be back next week to recap it, win or lose.
Yep.
Then we'll kind of run down how December will go. Yeah. All right, we'll see you then.
See y'all. Thank you.
Oh, about lost a mic.